Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Three. They've been around basketball from the Big Dipper to the Greek Freak, from Russell Celtics to Curry's Warriors, from Peach Baskets to Paolo Banchero. Here are Whitey Gleason, Phantom, and Jerry Reynolds.
Yes, that was that cat, all right.
I'm going to try to convince you guys of something that I've spent the last 3 or 4 days trying to convince people of. And I feel like I know I'm right, and people just don't understand it. All this talk about the Warriors and is the dynasty over, right? There's been a lot of pulling of hair, gnashing of teeth, and hand-wringing. Is the dynasty over now because they lost to the Lakers? To me, a dynasty is an uninterrupted period of dominance. The dynasty ended like 4 years ago. You know, because from 2015 through 2019, like that was a dynasty.
That was a dynasty.
Last 4 years, 3 of them have ended badly. Now, I know they won a championship in there, but to me, the question is, are they going to keep the players together, the core? But the dynasty, this is not a dynastic team right now. I try to tell people that, and they go, no, dynasty's still going. I don't know. I think that's not what a dynasty is.
I agree with you. I mean,
Finally.
wow.
Thank you.
Listen to
Totally
this.
agree.
Yeah.
I mean, no, they were
fantastic.
Talk about a true dynasty. I mean, they were like the Bulls in the 90s and
Celtics
and
yeah.
The Showtime Lakers or the
Yeah.
early Celtics. I mean, they had their run where they were just better than everybody
For a long time.
For a long time.
Yeah, one close.
and then start injuries and defections,
happens.
and
Yeah.
then they were just pretty common shoes for a
Yeah,
while. Then
yeah.
they, to their credit, they came back and got one.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not a dynasty anymore, and they had, like you say, no, they were a championship, just like the Milwaukee Bucks were a couple of years ago. Are they a dynasty? No.
Yeah. All right.
They're really good.
Yeah.
Well,
looks like we got a dissenter over here.
Well,
I'm not
I was
surprised.
growing up, the dynasty I followed was the Ming Dynasty, as you guys know.
Yeah.
And that was 276 years. So to me, a dynasty, I mean, you're talking about a dynasty is when you say a dominant team. When you're dominant, you win all the time. If you're in a dynasty, the second place country did not get involved in the dynasty. So for having even a broken up series, if you win a couple, then lose, then win a couple, it's still not a dynasty. You're a top team, but I think the Celtics are the only ones that'd be close to a dynasty 11 and 13 years, and even then they lost twice, but I mean, and the Bulls 6 out of 8. But I just think you want to give a term dynasty to a team, you got to win like 6, 7, 8 in a row to be a real dynasty. And so that's, I mean, I don't think the Warriors are a dynasty at all. No, not anymore.
Yeah, they had a Western Conference dynasty 5 years in a row. They won the Western Conference.
There you go. Thank
Right?
you.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you. Now,
yeah,
that's
so-
a dynasty because
Anyway.
they were the top team in the Western Conference for 5 straight years.
Yeah.
So
Well-
the Bills had a dynasty for 4 years.
Yeah.
They just got to the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, but I think you have to keep things in perspective a little bit. You go back to the early Celtics with the Russells. They were 8 teams.
Right, but they
Yeah.
still won.
Well,
but they still won.
But they beat.
Right.
They
I know
had one.
plumbers.
They had one. No, it's not that. But they had one team to beat, basically.
Yeah, they had to play Wilt.
I mean,
and there you go.
So there
Yeah.
you go. I mean, so I think it's very different. It's a lot tougher to win
Yes.
against 30
No
teams
doubt about
than
it.
it is against 8. That's
Yeah.
all.
And
No
the
doubt
more
about
things change, the more they stay the same. Once again, yesterday, Boston beat Philadelphia.
Yeah, some things are just that's just
Yeah,
automatic.
yeah, yeah.
And who saw that coming? Because I thought, Game 6 that probably the Celtics would lose that. That's why I don't bet on
You
basketball.
were almost really right, though. I mean, you had it nailed for a long time
For a
on
long
Game
time.
6.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, they woke up Tatum.
Yeah, well, and tell you what, Tatum, boy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a ball player right there.
Just think, Game 6, as you're saying, it's hanging in the balance there. It's fourth quarter. Jason Tatum, you've been terrible, and your team is about to lose, and you're going to be the reason why
Yeah, it's gonna be
you
your
lost
fault.
this series. And he says, okay, and then he starts making shots and saves the team and saves the season. Remarkable.
That's
Yeah,
more impressive.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, as opposed to, quite honestly, Joel Embiid, who one guy puffed up and got bigger, and the other one shrunk. Yeah.
Well, I think the fourth quarter for Tatum's more impressive than even 51 points in
I
Game
agree.
7. Because, as you said, he was going to be the reason. Not only was he horrible and they were going to lose, but it was going to be a whole offseason. Jason Tatum, your first team all NBA, you're the guy. You're not the guy. And then he comes out and hits, 4 threes in that fourth quarter, and played with even. He looked very confident for being 1 for 14 when he hit that first one. Then that got him going a little bit, but still, he was on the very edge on that one, Game 6, and to do what he did on the road in the fourth quarter, just so impressive. To
Well,
me.
his interview I thought was great after the game, because they were kind of actually ask a decent question finally or something. And
Finally.
and like, how were you able to turn it around, after such a bad start? And he said, I just, I'm one of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
It's like, sometimes it's just that, you need to believe it.
Right.
I mean, now there were a lot of people questioning whether you're one of the best in the world, but he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that just what little experience I've had with some really great players, invariably that's how they think.
Yeah.
And that's how
That's
the
how
rest
they
of his
think.
team thinks, I think, too.
Yeah.
That's important, too, because
Yeah.
you have to still be the best to the rest of your team, or else they're going to go away from you or something and go, well, he doesn't have it, I'm going to go ahead and do it. But they still stayed with him, and he obviously came
Well,
through.
and then conversely, the Embiid thing,
Oh, boy.
where he basically said, "Well, James and I can't do it by ourselves." It's like,
certainly couldn't.
Well, you proved that. you
certainly couldn't.
You gave evidence to beyond the shadow of a doubt. In a court of law, you proved you and James can't do it.
Yeah.
Jared, what happens to a guy who comes out with two 40-point games in the first four and wins almost single-handedly 2 games and then disappears for the rest of the series? I mean, Harden was about to change a little bit of the narrative on him, I think.
Yeah.
He comes out and hits the 3 to win the game and goes for 40 a couple times. And then, especially in the second half of the last 3 games, he's not there.
Well, I think we talked about that. It's like, well, he certainly has got a chance to change the narrative, but
He almost had it turned. He had it. He was working over.
Then it fell on him.
Yeah.
It crushed him, and Tatum put his foot on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yesterday we were driving back up from the Bay Area, and I was going to go to Game 7 if there had been a Game 7. There was not a Game 7, obviously. Driving back up, so I was listening to the Celtics and the Sixers on Sirius XM, and it was a great Cedric Maxwell and the play-by-play guy. I'm not sure.
Is it Sean somebody?
Grandy or something.
Yeah.
He was really good. But he says, his first quarter, he goes, well, both these teams have been really up and down in this first quarter. And I was thinking, I think I could say that about every team in every game I've seen in these playoffs.
Every quarter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it's been the hardest to predict, and from game to game, quarter to quarter, really.
Yes.
I mean, you see, like yesterday's Celtics game was a great example. You got a great half, and boy, we got a real game going. And then the game was over.
Just like the Kings.
Just like the Kings,
a
you
two-point
saw
halftime game.
it was a terrific game at half.
Yeah,
You didn't-
absolutely. We're all ready to go.
No way you could foresee that getting away. But we've seen a bunch of them.
Yeah, basketball's supposed to be a game of runs. Everybody always says
Yeah.
that. But in this, it really is. I mean, they have a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. All of a sudden, it's gone. And
Yeah.
it just doesn't matter.
So if it was up to you, Mr. Basketball, is Doc Rivers gone? If the Sixers came to you, because I know you consult for
I consult for a lot of
handful of teams.
I'm not at liberty
Yeah.
to say which one.
Of course
which
not.
conference.
Of course not.
If I'm Doc Rivers, maybe I want to go, because that looks like a situation where, I mean, you have 2 superstars, and they're not superstars when it counts for you, right? And then you're going to be the one who gets the blame because you can't blame the superstars. As you said, Jared, they can't do it all by themselves.
No.
They can't. Now, you've got Maxey, who's a really good player and up and coming.
Terrific
But
player.
I don't know if I'm Doc Rivers, if I want to be. It's all a matter of, do they think there's going to be, do they need the scapegoat? And I don't know if they do or not. My sources are telling me that he will be staying.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think he will.
Well, I mean, we have different sources, Jared.
Well, I was going to say, I don't have any sources. I'm
You
just
just
saying,
were a coach.
I'm just saying he's, and I think Doc's a heck of a good coach, but you can't bring him back. You can't get rid of Embiid.
No, you cannot get rid of
Harden
Embiid.
you can but I don't know that you even do that unless you can get somebody better, and that's hard to do, even with his whatever. But yeah, I think, and as I was talking to Whitey on 1140, which I'm in the media.
You on with him on 1140 sometimes?
Yeah.
Okay, how that works
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Well, talent's talent.
Talent, yeah. I mean, you're in demand. You're in demand.
But I thought I made a good analogy. There's rumors that Mark Jackson's going to maybe get the Bucks job.
Okay.
And see, and Doc, and I would love this, he'd get back to TV because he's terrific on TV.
Okay.
And Mark would be out of TV,
He's
which is
not terrific on TV.
He is not
Yeah,
terrific.
Jerry says that is a
That's
home
a-
run.
but is he-
win-win.
But is he
That's
terrific?
win.
Is he terrific on the bench?
I don't care.
It's all about you and your TV watch.
It's all about what I like to
I
watch.
love that. So can
And
you get Reggie Miller a job with the team then, so he can be off TV?
I like Reggie on TV.
I thought I was
mean,
gonna
he's
do
not a
that.
favorite, but I enjoy him. Yeah.
You look at all the times Doc's teams have come up short, and then I didn't realize this till today. I heard some numbers. They've blown a lot of leads. He's had teams that have blown leads a lot in the series. And yesterday in that fourth quarter, Boston took away the pick and roll, I think, and that was Philly had nothing. They had no counter, and they just were standing, and they had no offense. Tobias Harris should have been taking more shots, and that I really looked at that and said, man, they right now look like a really poorly coached team. And I know Doc has been criticized a lot. It's the first time I remember watching one of his teams and thinking that as I watched them.
Well, he and I don't know if it's a fair criticism, but he's been criticized because a lot of people don't think he does very well in-game adjustments. That he's great for the most part, getting teams ready in the regular season, or utilizing his talent pretty good, but adjustments. And as you guys know, I mean, you go through a 7-game series. Teams have to adjust,
especially this postseason.
Yeah, I mean, if
crazy stuff.
If you're the Warriors with Durant and Curry, you probably didn't have to, or the great Bulls teams, or but none of these are them.
Yeah, yeah,
we got them. Now.
These are just good teams. There's no great team out there, or any team that would scare you at all.
Mm-hmm. And I thought Monty Williams was almost asking for it. From the Car Show. Those of you who watch the Car Show don't mean to be redundant, but
great show.
When you look at all Monty Williams has done, and Stones pointed out, that's why Durant went there. So it seems unfair that he was fired. But they've lost the last 2 years now. Their elimination games, they've been just wiped out. And after they lost to Denver, Monty Williams said, I pride myself on getting my team ready for these games, and they weren't. I don't know what happened. And to me, it's like, you have a new owner who's looking at whether he's going to keep you or not, Monty. Don't say that.
You just indicted yourself.
Maybe Monty just didn't care.
Whether it's true or not, don't say that.
That's like getting interrogated by the cops and say, yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
It is.
It's probably because I was drinking so much before I got behind the wheel. Yeah, that's on me.
It was me.
That's me.
But
coaches get the blame. In this case, it seems like they deserve it.
It's like,
hey, the bottom line, players play, and the players aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing.
But that's the whole point. I mean, it's always been that way.
Yeah.
Because you can't fire the players.
I know, but man, sometimes.
Well, I mean, you basically are calling for, if they're calling for a head, well, there's one that's a little easier to chop off.
But let's take the example of James Harden. So, so James Harden had 2 great games in the first 4 games, and then the last 3 games he basically wasn't there. So you get rid of Doc and you bring in somebody else. What's this guy supposed to do to get James Harden to play the last 3? It's that specific, because that's what's wrong with your team. Excuse me, your superstars didn't play super in the last 3 games. Well, so what do you do?
Well,
what does a new coach do for that?
I mean, you're right. I don't know that it'd work. I'm not saying that, but it's like Dwayne Casey getting fired in Toronto after a great season, and they bring in Nick Nurse, and well, it got better.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Or
Mark Jackson and Steve
Kerr. Mark Jackson with the Warriors.
Yeah.
Get rid of Mark Jackson.
Yeah. He had terrific success, and people said, I think I might have been one of those people, said that doesn't make sense to fire him and bring in Steve Kerr, who has never coached. And
at the time,
and it seems to have worked pretty well.
Mark Jackson was good doing the startup. He was in there on the startup, and then someone else.
Well, and that's been said about Doc a little bit. He's awfully good at, motivating and getting guys to play at a certain level. But I don't know. I mean, this is not going to change. I mean, we've had. Successful coaches, used to get fired for losing. Now you can get fired for winning.
They're enough.
Yeah. It's like the National Hockey League. I mean, you win a championship one year, next year they'll fire you if you don't get. They just. But that's
because you have to do it every year. You're right, Chair.
But that's why. And I mean, and the other thing has changed. Used to be, general manager always said used to get to fire 4 coaches before they fired him. Now it's down to 2.
If he's lucky, right?
If he's lucky, So everything. Well, that's what happens with the huge money, and then the huge commitment to players.
Right.
I mean, you got guys you're committed to for 150, 200 million. Well, you can't.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at the Celtics.
You got no choice.
The Celtics will have $600 million feasibly on Brown and Tatum. So if something goes wrong for them in a year to come, it's not going to be the coach. It's their fault. It's going to be the coach's fault.
Yeah.
No matter what happens.
Well, and your accurate point was it really won't be the coach's fault.
But it's glad I had one in there.
Yeah, you did. I mean, it won't be the coach's fault. It doesn't make any
No,
difference.
it won't be, because that guy will be 0 for 14.
Yeah.
Or 1 for 14.
You know, Doc won with the Celtics, right? He won a championship.
Yeah.
So I heard somebody on
Long
the radio
time
today
ago.
saying, you got to wonder if they had someone else in there, maybe they would have won more. So that, it's like, wait a minute.
See, now that's when I would stand up. You can take a shot at me for not getting it done here, but give me credit for the one I won, okay?
Well,
yeah,
I agree with you
I had
there.
some good players, obviously, everybody does, but give me credit for that, please.
Yeah.
I got a ring.
No, he deserves credit, and same as Frank Vogel,
Yes.
same as Nick Nurse, same as Budenholzer. They all won
Same as
championships.
all the former coaches, you mean?
Yeah. It used to be there again. You win a championship, you got 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Now
Right.
it's kind of like a college coach. Well, we won a championship, so we'll
A little bit of security.
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
and now you won a championship, so you better win another one pretty quick.
I know I asked you this earlier, Jerry, but I have to ask you again. How difficult was it for you? And like a lot of people, you're kind of a little bit of Warrior fatigue you've experienced of late, but to see the Warriors bounced out by the Lakers. So I remember, earlier in the season, we're sitting here and Lakers are 2-10, and you're yeah. The Lakers in the conference finals. How difficult is that for you?
Well, I'm too old to cry about it, so I didn't. But I did have to go to my private space. You know what I'm saying?
Your quiet room?
My quiet
Your
room.
quiet room?
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be
I
something
told
like
Mr.
that.
Reynolds I'll be in here to leave me alone. And
And she knew, right?
And she knew.
Yeah.
She knew.
You went in the quiet room, yeah.
Went in
Can't
the
bother
quiet
her.
room. It
Yeah.
wasn't really quiet in there,
No.
but I went
Well-
into the quiet room.
It was quiet except for you.
So, other than, just wanting to vomit, which I didn't, I
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's
So,
obviously that.
Does
I
it-
guess in nutshell, I really couldn't stand it.
Doesn't it in a way make it worse to look at that and go, the Kings should have been the team that knocked the Warriors out, not the Lakers?
Yeah, there's only one good thing that the Lakers couldn't have knocked the Kings out. That
Yes.
would have been
That
that
would
would have
been-
been
yeah.
that would have been
that
the
would have
worst.
been
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
unacceptable.
worst.
I mean, could have been devastating
Yes, we
physically,
don't even-
mentally.
yeah,
Things
thank
Would have been
goodness.
the worst, yeah.
I don't
Thank
believe
goodness.
at my stage of life this could
Yeah.
have, kind of.
Thank goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd been ready for the room and the.
Yeah, the quiet room would
the
have
quiet
been enough
room
in
all
that
the
case.
time,
No,
yeah.
that would
Yeah.
have been it.
Did you feel any of that, Phantom? As someone who pulls for the Kings, that the Warriors aren't that good. And I know some people say the dynasty continues. They won a championship last year, but the Kings could have very well been that team.
Yeah, they had a chance to be that team, but I didn't get that feeling more watching them play the Lakers. I mean, I had that already in the series when they were playing the Kings going to Game 7. That game's right there for you, and you could win it. You could beat them. I said earlier in that series, thought the Warriors were a better team, and they came through and they won in Game 7. But yeah, watching that series, you're sitting there going, we could have won that. Maybe we should have won that. But once it moves on, you've lost, and you really have you can't really say that because you lost.
Where are you now with Vezenkov? The Vezenkov factor,
I'm
Sasha Vezenkov.
cautiously optimistic.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
but
first
it's
team
trending
All-Euro.
towards inevitable that he's going to be.
Well,
With
but
the Kings.
he was just named first team All European League. So I mean, he's a talent. Let's get him over here. We can use a talent and see what we got.
I still want to trade him, Jer. I want to package him because I shouldn't say this. I'm making an assumption. I'll bet you he's not a great defender, and I don't need any more wing shooters who can't guard people.
Give the poor guy a chance.
I know.
Well, yeah, come on,
I know.
He's not even in the country
I'm
yet.
just
And you're already
being-
kicking him out.
I'm being honest
Yeah.
with you. I know that's
Well,
what
at
I'll-
the border or
I
something.
will say this: I haven't, few scouts I've talked to her and this, that, and the other, and I don't know squat about it, but they'd say pretty much it's like the guy can really shoot, he can
Yes.
play, really poor defender.
Oh no! See, that's the last thing they need.
So, but they could be wrong and all that. And to Phantom's point, I mean, I agree. I think it's a good move. I mean, he's
Yeah,
a
give him a
talent.
chance.
Now to think he's going to in my mind to say, boy, he's going to step in there and really
No,
make the
you
team
can't-
better.
yeah.
I don't believe that for a second. I wish I could. I think he could be a nice piece to using slots and fit in
Yeah.
here and there. But that, to me, that doesn't solve their major issue that they have.
Yeah, I saw somewhere the MVP-like numbers for Olympiacos: 17.6 points and 7 rebounds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, MVP? You wouldn't have been the MVP of our church league team with numbers like
Well,
that.
you
It's not
couldn't
bad,
you couldn't
but
score over 15 in the church league. Remember,
Well,
they held you there. You couldn't do that.
In fairness to him,
yes,
uh,
yes.
In Europe, they don't, they
Right.
don't,
That's-
they don't
I
put
know.
up 130.
Yeah, they don't
I
let them
know.
all play that many minutes. A lot of times, especially
Yeah.
the younger guys, don't get to play. But
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
when the Kings got Bellinelli? I'll never forget this because you're talking about defense. Bellinelli, who they got, so I looked him up. It said he is a horrific defender, and that's what I said. Wow, that's about the strongest one I've ever seen. He's not going to help us on the other end of the floor.
He actually became a horrific offensive player too.
So he balanced his game out.
Well, that's amazing though. About the only place he wasn't
Yes.
effective offensively was with the Kings.
Yeah.
He was good
Yeah,
everywhere
he's hitting
else.
shots everywhere.
Just
Yeah.
stand there, we'll get you the ball, make a shot, right?
Yeah.
He did that everywhere
He did
else.
that
except-
everywhere
yeah.
else.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a good scorer.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, before and after. So it wasn't like, okay, so that was the end of the road. He went to other teams and could make those shots.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of packaging Vezenkov, especially if with the scouts. What I'm hearing from the scouts is
What are you
true.
going to get for Vysenko?
I want to get an impactful wing or, like Jer says, a front court player. I need help in the front court. Just want somebody who can give me a little something offense and make me better defensively.
But what kind of package? Excuse me, Joe. What kind of package do you have to build to get that? Because he's going to be part of it. But I mean, realistically,
I'm
what do you
thinking
think-
picks
what do you think you get?
he and picks might give me a leg up on something. I don't have
yeah.
particulars.
See,
with
I agree with you. I mean, he's an asset.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's an asset. So, all right, he's not going to bring you what you want, but maybe him being an asset, and the league knows about him with a first round pick, might get you what you need.
and he's kind of still of an unknown. So if you bring him over, and all of a sudden people watch him and go, no, maybe his value is the highest now it'll ever be.
Huh. Yeah. Especially with what I'm hearing from the scouts.
The horrific defensive part, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. And Harrison Barnes, Trey Lyles, apparently the Kings really want to keep. Harrison Barnes is one of those guys. Is he not? He's more valuable to me if I'm the Kings than he is to any other team. That's one of the reasons
Yeah.
I want to keep him.
I think it's close.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's valuable to the Kings, but I think he still has.
Okay.
I really believe that he's viewed as a guy that a lot of teams would like to have. Maybe not as a third or fourth guy.
So it depends on what he's willing to do, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, but his professionalism. He's been productive over this time, and so I think there's he is valuable to Kings, and I think he's valuable to the league. So I think there'd be a market for him if you wanted to trade him. So.
But I'd have to
But-
sign him first,
put
right?
him
Because
in
he's
your-
free
put him in
agent.
your
Free
pounds,
agent,
yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
sign and trade, that sort
Yeah.
of thing, and get it. Well, it's one of those deals you get a deal they agree to, and
Yeah.
that sort of
All right.
thing. But
Okay.
but I mean, to me, he's like like we just talked about. I mean, he's still an asset.
Mm-hmm. He's not old, is he? And we
No,
should-
no,
30?
30.
Is he 30?
30.
Yeah.
So he should have probably 3-4 years as good as what he had, which was a very solid year till he didn't play well in the playoffs.
Yeah. My fear phantom is if the Fear Phantom.
Fear
That
Phantom.
should be something.
Another good show.
If I take the Kings and for the most part I just bring everyone back and improve a little bit around the margins, I don't think that's going to be good enough.
No,
And
I don't
maybe
think
I'm
so.
wrong,
No.
but I don't think that's going to get it done next year.
I don't either. No, I'm with you there. I think you'd like to believe that you'll be better, and you might be, but you might win fewer games. It's just not you can
You're
be
in
a
the
better
West,
team
yeah.
and win less, and maybe you don't get as good a spot. So, and then the injury thing. I mean, you just can't count on having an injury
Yeah, you had a real
season like they did. So I think they've got to get at least one player that's good enough to start that they don't currently have.
Yeah.
And then what? Yeah. Then what do you have to go ahead and offer to get that one player?
Yeah.
Because you're looking to get a starting player.
He's been trying to get Naz Reid.
No, I know. And
surreptitiously
we've all
now,
been talking about
covertly
Naz Reid, but
for.
Isn't he a free agent? So I mean,
Yeah, he's
and I know you want to offer him the moon, and I love that. He makes 1.9 now. I'll give him 6. I don't care. It's not my money, right? Yeah.
You gladly give him 6.
But with that, if you can't get him with the 6, because that's a huge offer. I mean, if you have to get a trade, you have to package through what are you willing to part with. That's the whole thing, because you don't want to touch whatever took them from where they are to 48 wins. You don't want to touch that. Obviously, you're not going to touch Fox or Sabonis, or I guess
That's why I'm
Murray.
trading draft picks. If it's
and your
Zinkov.
foreign
Yes.
chip,
Yes.
so to speak. Yeah.
yeah, if you could do, in my mind, if you could do something like how do you pronounce that?
Vezenkov. Yeah.
Vezenkov in a couple of seconds, sign and trade kind of thing. I think that'd be.
That doesn't sound like a very good package to me, though, Jer. A foreign guy that I don't know in a couple of seconds.
Well, let me explain to you.
To get Kevin
Mr.
Durant?
Mr. Timberwolf, you're going to have to pay him more than you want to pay him, and you can't afford to because you got Towns, you got Gobert, you got to take care of Edwards here big time. You want to keep Conley. So
we're helping you, actually.
We're helping you. You're getting.
I love the. Now you can tell the wheeler dealer is back now. Let me help you. Come on. I'll take him off your hands. I'll take him off your hands.
Yeah, we'll help you. You help us.
Okay. All right.
And preferably us.
Yeah.
But, but I mean, it wouldn't be out of reason. I mean, wait a minute. This is a team that gave up 17 picks and a partridge and a pear tree to get Gobert.
They literally ruined the league. I mean, with the trade value chart that they set up, they ruined the league.
They literally ruined the league.
I just said it, and I stand by it. You can't trade anybody anymore. What do you got? What Gobert got? I mean, you can't trade people anymore. Mm-hmm. Okay. Except for Vezenko in 2 seconds for no trade.
Well, I just do it. I don't know what it takes.
I like that.
But I think that's basically you have to think along the lines. If you're going to get somebody can help you, you have to give up you have to give up something. That's all.
Yeah,
no, I agree. And you do I think you do have to improve, maybe not substantially, but markedly, so you can get to 50.
And not just so much, and I think just a little differently, because this team really isn't big enough, strong enough, athletic enough up front.
How about this now? And I know we talked about this in the car show, but you look at what's going on with the Warriors, and they want to keep their core together. If they're going to try to bring in talent, they don't have money to sign people. They would have to trade probably some package, including some combination of Poole, draft picks, Jonathan Kuminga. According to The Athletic, his representatives plan to meet with the Warriors and ask them, is Jonathan going to have a role next year? Is he going to have a guaranteed role? If not, he may want to go elsewhere. Which, if I'm the Warriors, I said, okay, bye-bye. We can take care of you. But if Jonathan Kuminga is available, would you have interest from the Kings standpoint?
I don't.
I would have some interest, but it wouldn't be probably what they'd want to hear. I mean, it's...
Yeah, if I can get it for crumbs,
come
on in.
Yeah, we
got
Johnny.
Crumbs. Yeah, come on in.
I mean, if it's, no, I mean, I wouldn't make a big deal, but I think there is a reason you'd take a chance on him, sure.
Yeah. The thing is, in that case, right, you go to Mike Brown. Mike, what do you think of this guy? And if Mike says, we got some there, then maybe because he's got a very unique perspective on it. But otherwise, especially if it's a guy that young, I understand frustration, but going to the Warriors, I may want to go somewhere else if we don't get a guaranteed role. Why don't you try playing better? Why don't you try that?
I'd ask the Warriors, hey, what do you want for Looney? Mm-hmm. What do you want for Looney? I mean,
they can't. I don't
more
see how
scoring inside. So
Yeah, but there again, I mean, we just
best contract in the NBA.
Best contract in the NBA.
I know, but that's kind of.
And right now, he's probably the second best player on the Warriors.
His rebounds per dollar is pretty high,
at least in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's like a Labrador Retriever. They'll do whatever you want, and
and it makes you a better household.
Yeah,
really
it's like you can't. Yeah, what do you need? You're not starting today. Okay, great.
That's
How about 12
rebounds? Off the bench in 16.
Yeah,
I'll give you 17
He's
minutes.
Tremendous.
I love him.
I'll give you 17 minutes, like 5 points, 10 rebounds, and I'll hurt the other team.
Let's
go.
I
was just hoping that they have to keep so many of their other guys. They have no more money. I thought maybe they'd want to deal.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they would deal him. I mean, I think they deal everybody but Curry, but I mean, it's still how do you get better at doing that?
Yeah, they if they're dealing people, they got to try to get out from under the cap stuff, and he's making so little. It's like that doesn't help. That doesn't address that.
They can't afford
Klay
to
Thompson, I don't know what you thought of Klay in the postseason. Klay next year, you got to pay him $43 million unless you can figure out something with him in the meantime, restructure. But right now, you owe him $43 million. To be a really subpar defender who's an inconsistent shooter.
And if I say no, I don't want to pay you $43 million, then I'm the bad guy.
You still have to pay him. You're under contract.
Okay, so I thought he was on. No, you don't. That's his option. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're on the tab.
So I am the bad guy. Yeah, there you go. I'm sorry, Klay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I should have looked it up while you were missing shots in the playoffs.
Yeah. So that's kind of the elephant in the room for them when they're looking at their.
What do you do with that elephant?
Yeah, they're in a tough spot there. I mean, as far as their goal is to win championships and all that. I understand that.
And Poole is going to be hard to trade, right, as you pointed out.
I'd say really hard to trade. Really hard to trade.
Yeah. Well, he's pouty and he can't guard anybody, but on the other hand, he makes a lot of money. So
but occasionally he makes shots.
Well,
I mean,
too,
he's
that's
had
one of
good
those things
games.
where you read these things, different sites and all. Yeah, the Warriors trade Poole and they'll get, or maybe throw in this or that, and they'll get this guy.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, that team wouldn't do
Yeah.
that, and they couldn't, or they couldn't take on that contract. They don't have room to take it on.
Yeah.
So it's like,
It's tough.
it's going to be tough. I suspect we'll see Jordan Poole there, and the only way, to me, they can trade him is take an equally bad contract back.
Yeah, right.
It may be a shorter one, but it'll be the same kind of contract.
Yeah. And, what are we going to do now about Ja? What are we going to do about Ja? What do you think the league should do? Mr. Basketball. Again, the league comes to you. I know you consult for the league. We can't officially say that, but
We can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for you've got to. You already set a precedent by suspending him before for basically the same offense, and part of that is to say don't do it again. And so if somebody comes back and does the same thing again, what you just told him not to do, then obviously you have to come down a lot harder on him. You really have to, or else your whole structure is going to fall apart. But the sad part is Ja himself, and we talked about it before, it was between the car show and our show, which is a nice show too.
Excellent.
But I mean, this guy is not even 24 years old yet. Obviously, we've talked about it with a lot of young players. DeMarcus Cousins, you don't make people mature by giving them $60 million or $100 million when they're 21 or 22 years old. Obviously, John Moran has some people around him that aren't really beneficial to him, which I would have thought would have been part of the focus the first time you take the guy to counseling, because that's something they're going to talk with him about. But the time frame of it was weird before, because they suspended him indefinitely, and he has to go to counseling, and we don't know when he's going to be back. And as soon as they put a date on that suspension, 2 days later or so, he was back. Obviously not ready to play, and obviously they did him a great disservice right there. But the two things they should have told him in counseling is get away from these people that you're hanging around with, and as you pointed out earlier, don't wave guns around. Maybe that's something. You don't have to really be a genius to know this, but don't take guns and wave them around, especially where people are videotaping you.
Which is nowadays everywhere.
And it seemed like he was in a closed environment. So it's one of those people around him that's taking the video, perhaps, which just serves to underscore the point. So I just think everybody's kind of he has obviously responsibility to bear for this, but people around him have really let him down, from the people, from his guys that hang around him, all the way to the team, and I guess even the league, that have kind of let him down.
He said it all there. I mean, I thought Michael Wilbon and Kornheiser on Pardon the Interruption really talking about, really, you got to put the hammer down here and suspend him for a long time. And I agree. I mean, going back to Phantom's point, I mean, basically he was rewarded for quite bad behavior before.
Basically, that's what it is.
And I said that was, going back to the DeMarcus Cousins thing, that was always Jeff Petrie's thing. Don't sign him to a long-term big money deal before you have to.
Right.
Which immediately that's what happened, and so you got it rewarded for being a problem with coaches and teammates and everything like that. Like, oh, we'll solve this problem. Well, no, you might could have solved it. I don't know. I doubt it. But you certainly weren't going to solve it by rewarding him for bad behavior.
Yeah, your guy Eddie Johnson on Twitter suggested that, hey, his dad, Ja's dad, T, said he's got to be his dad, not his friend. Now, I don't know what their relationship is. I understand what it looks like. Eddie obviously knows a lot more about it than I do. So I understand that, but I don't know. The thing that concerns me about the whole thing is Ja's not an idiot. He's made some really dumb choices. I don't think he's a moron. So for someone who's reasonably intelligent, I think, to do something so stupid, that scares me. It's self-destructive. It's like, why would you do that? I mean, even if, like you say, there's the camera on, he's there in front of the camera, let me get my gun. It's like, what is going on? That's what worries me. Whether the league suspends us for 50 games or not, somebody has to get in there with them and say, why would you? Why would you do? Why are you doing that? That's what needs to be addressed, and that's what scares me, because I have no idea what the answer to that would be.
Well, I mean, to me, yeah, you're right. I mean, he's got to change his lifestyle. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you can be a gangbanger. You can be that, but you don't get to play in the NBA.
Yeah, you can.
We we want, basically
choose.
have some control of that. Now, we can't control what you do with your life, but we can control that. And I always say somebody needs to remind him. Take a look at Gilbert Arenas, how that ended. Jarvis Crittenden, who's currently in prison.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad examples out there.
Right.
That this doesn't end well.
But that's what they should have done in counseling. That's what you do in counseling is you go, this is the path you're on. Obviously, it's more involved than that. This is the path you're on, and you can't continue on that path because this, as you just said, Jared, there's several examples of what happens to you if you continue on this path.
But that's all 100% true. But don't you think he's got to know that he has to already know that, which is the thing that's just mind-boggling to me.
I think he's reinforced in the group that he's in by doing adopting that other path, as you say, even to be able to dabble. Okay, I'm a superstar and I can dabble in this and I can be part of this culture too. And I don't know if it's street cred or whatever it is, but yeah, I mean, you think that, hey, here's an idea. You lost $100 million, whatever he lost, money wise. Just don't do that.
I know.
Even if you don't believe anything else I'm telling you as your counselor, just don't wave guns around. Can you do that for me? Can you do that for me?
Not for me. Do it for you.
Yeah. Here, I'll sign the form because you got to sign the form to release them back. Yeah. I'll sign the form. Just say I will not wave guns.
Well, they got to start. He's got to start by first of all, these are not your friends.
Yeah,
these are not your friends.
You're right.
Now,
sir.
if you want these, then you're heading on a path you can't get off. I mean, they're the ones that videotaped him and got out. These, I mean, they may not.
They may not have his best interests at heart.
Yeah, they probably didn't even know it'd be a big deal because that's who they are.
Yeah,
but that's your problem. You're running with people that can't help you, can only hurt you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you ask them, I mean, we just took a picture of him waving a gun. It's no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
Like
Doesn't everybody do that?
Doing anything?
Yeah. Doesn't everybody have their gun on them?
Yeah. You got away from that lifestyle.
It wasn't easy.
I used to. I looked like Pancho Villa. I'd have to.
What do you call those? The ammunition belts?
Yeah, he's got the two belts walking into town. Hey, who wants to take on the Caucasian Comet today? Jim Bob Bowley goes running for the hills.
It's a good thing there wasn't a lot of shooting in my day. It's just you get your nose reddened a little bit.
Yeah.
Knowing you'd have taken a lot of shots too.
I would.
That's what you told us.
I would have. And so I wouldn't be here. I'd have been a casualty somewhere along the line.
Before we go, Phantom, what do you got for us prediction-wise about the NBA draft lottery, which could change the course of NBA history? Where did you think we were going to go?
I thought we were going to talk about Nuggets, Lakers, who we pick, and that kind of thing. That's because but I'll go with what you got.
Celtics, Nuggets, right? Celtics, Nuggets.
I think it's going to be Celtics Nuggets. I hope so.
Yeah. I think we're all hoping for 50%.
But as we talked about on the show, do you think the league has said?
I don't think the league
would the Lakers and Celtics, would that be advantageous to
you
them?
Don't think the league cares whether it's Lakers, Celtics, or Heat, Nuggets?
Can I just restate my position on the refereeing for these things?
Yes.
There's just too much let go. There's just too much let go in these. I know we're going to let them play. You got to be a man out there. But when there's people getting hit on the head, you've got to call that stuff. And I think the one thing that I notice more is during the regular season, if a guy drives the lane and the ball gets stripped, it's a foul 75% of the time.
Yeah.
And I think it is a foul 75% of the time. In the playoffs, guys drive the lane and get picked all the time. There's nothing going on.
Yeah.
And all they're doing is turning like this to look at the ref. And I kind of believe him in this case. So I just want to state my protest as far as the refereeing is concerned. I know everybody loves
not calling fouls is the new calling fouls.
Yes, exactly.
That's what they do now. That's how they massage the game.
I don't want to affect the game with my whistle. Well, if you don't blow it, you are affecting the game, and that's what happens usually at the end of games. But I just wanted to say that. As far as
I think we're all glad you did.
I think so. I feel better, and that's all that I really care about. I'm just pretty controversial there. I think Victor's going to go to some team that's going to just botch it.
Oh, really?
It's not going to matter. He's going to go to Houston or something, and they're like 45 guys on their team. They'll never pass him the ball or whatever. So I don't know. I hope he goes to a team that he can. Because I think he's going to be good for the league. It's going to be great for the league. So I just hope he goes.
Unfortunately, the league is already ruined.
Well, it's ruined by the refereeings and by the Gobert trade. Okay?
I'm just praying that he goes like to Miami or somewhere. they got one ball or two. Just wouldn't that be?
The Lakers have a ball because wouldn't it be better for the league?
They do. They owe it to the Pelicans, I think. But yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So
that would be nice if Victor and Zion played together.
I was going to say,
like Laurel and Hardy.
They have when they draw the balls, they always have a special room, people in there, and then out.
Have you ever been in there? Have you ever been?
No, my wife was actually one time. Yeah. I always said probably for this one, if you think about the Lakers, they'll have all the little balls around, and there'll be a great big ball
with the Laker insignia on it.
Yeah,
a picture of Shaq on it. Oh, okay, yeah.
It's so different now. You draft this guy now. It's like you're drafting a corporation. Right, because he's been groomed for this for so long. Yes, you're not just drafting this young player. It's like it's like a business merger. The Houston Rockets announced a merger with Wembanyama
and he gets part of the
associates.
Team. Yeah, we're just getting part of the
team. It's totally different because he's been being groomed for this.
And if you say he's drafted by the Houston Rockets, let's say, okay, he's drafted, and he and his people. They said we don't really want him play with the
Udoka. No.
We just doesn't want to play with Udoka. Well, we'll fire Udoka. I mean, really, that's what would happen.
Yeah, that's why if I were in one of the teams in the lottery, I would not have hired a coach until after I saw I was going.
Who do you want to coach? Your French guy? Bring him on over. We don't care.
Well, with that team,
it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
A guy speaking a foreign language would probably get through to him better than they do now.
Yeah, I'd say have the same success. Jalen whatever his name is. What's his name?
Which one are we talking about?
Oh, the Houston Rockets.
Jalen Green.
Jalen Green. God,
yeah.
Dementia setting in early.
No. There's just so many.
There's a lot of Jalen's in there.
But Jalen Williams, Brown.
The other Jalen Williams.
Jalen, if it feels like leather, he's shooting it.
Yep.
So, the offense would change.
And knowing some of those players, that we got this guy coming in. He's 7'4". He's the greatest prospect. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm getting mine.
Yeah, he should be able to get more rebounds.
I'll give him, what did Kobe call them? Rebound opportunities.
Yeah.
I'll give him a lot of rebound opportunities.
And you're on board with Wembanyama, right?
I am.
Originally, you were a little...
He was a little hesitant.
And then remember the play I tried to explain to you is when he did the fall-away three-pointer and followed his own shot on the fall-away three-pointer and did a jam dunk on the putback. I came on board.
I
came on board right then.
Boy, it's hard to get him on board.
It is hard, and I don't stay on board that often, too.
To go out. Who do you want to see him go to? I know you guys will disagree. I kind of want to see him go... I don't know. I want to see him go to the Spurs. I don't know. I would like to see what Pop does.
I wouldn't mind that.
Pop will coach a long time if that happens.
That's what I was thinking. You'll probably go, I got a couple years left here.
I got 5-6 years left here.
I kind of like that, too.
Really?
Yes.
I'd like to see what... I just think it'd be a good fit for him if he's, amenable to all that, and maybe that gives him a really good chance to be the best player he can be. Because I think it's tremendous. If he has a chance to be one of the all-time greats.
Well,
we need that.
Detroit wouldn't take him because they've got Bagley. So they're not.
And Wiseman.
They're going to. So they're going to Samboy him. We don't really need it. We don't need him. Yeah, we got Wiseman.
We'll take Scoot.
We got two number 2 picks right now. We need this guy.
Well, and Detroit say take Scoot. How many guard they've? How many high lottery picks do they have stashed there?
They do.
Guard. They hadn't helped them win, but
I think if he went to Orlando, that would be pretty entertaining.
Oh, we love that.
Yeah,
we love
ton of talent there. Maybe too much talent.
Yeah, that might be the scary place. With young talent around him, and of course, I think just staying healthy.
That would be amazing if
he just got to stay healthy. That's really it. But
all right,
that'll be interesting. Definitely, it's a LeBron type draft.
How nice is it to have the lottery without you worrying about what the Kings are going to do or who they're going to end up with it?
Oh, it's great. It's great.
It's been a while
not to be in it.
Yeah.
Well, and the whole thing, and except for a guy like this, it's the old. Okay, 5th pick, 6th pick. What?
Right.
How much better are we going to be?
Yeah.
Occasionally, like as we've talked about some of the last MVPs were late picks. Antetokounmpo and Jokic. Every team could have had them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got Adebayo coming up in the conference finals. Was he 14 or 15?
15, I think. Well, we talked about this too. It's interesting. I think Coach Calipari. I think I can see why he's under a little pressure. But look at all the guys that were late picks from Kentucky, like Maxey, Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Devin Booker. Mm-hmm. These guys were late lottery picks or not lottery picks, and they all went to Kentucky, and it's like, Cal.
They all went to Kentucky for 1 year,
Yeah.
and they all went to Kentucky, and they got edged out by other 5 stars who got, like Devin Booker. Probably, he comes in there. I think he was top 30 or whatever. He didn't get the shine that he
No.
would have gotten other places. So he got
But I mean, to that point, I mean, now, correct me if I'm wrong, but now Calipari's allowed to play who he wants, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's
I
good.
believe
Yeah.
I've looked up the bylaws, and yes, he can.
And so I recruited these 5 stars. But if he's better, shouldn't he just go ahead and play him?
Yeah, but what if I go to the next guy and go, look, the guy didn't even play for me that much, and he's still in the lottery pick. Why don't you come to my? He doesn't care about the team he has now. He cares about the team he's got next year.
Well, that's why the team he has next year looks a lot like the team he had last year.
Well, they end up like it.
Yeah. Well,
Unless they had Anthony Davis the one time, and
yeah,
that makes a difference.
That
yeah.
makes a
Yeah.
difference.
Are we up again on Friday? Yeah, Friday. Friday work
According
for
to
you guys?
whatever Stone says, yeah.
I'll start, doing some preparation. I'll try to get in, 3 or 4 hours every day.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Go to your quiet room.
Because you can sort of tell that, right?
yeah.
We'll see you next time on what we like to call Phantom.
The old-fashioned 3.
That's right.
Thank you for joining the Old Fashioned 3 on Stones Radio Networks. To stay updated on the show, like and subscribe on YouTube, and all shows are available for download on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and of course at stonesradionetworks.com. Follow the show and the gents on Twitter at OL, Fashion, and the number 3, at Phantom Radio 60, and at Whitey Gleason. This has been a production of Stones Radio Networks.